Today I'm going to show you how to make TV antenna. There's a lot of designs on the internet showing different ways of how to do it. I'll show you my variation of this. What I've got here is just a piece of Romex wire that I got here from the garage. I rewired this entire garage, so it already had some wiring in it. Some of it's the newer stuff, some of it's a lot older. So I just replaced every bit of it, so it's all new. And what I'm going to do is basically just strip the sheathing off this copper wire. And by doing so, I can use this wire to make an antenna. There's one, there's two. And basically you just get left with this empty, the coating over it. Okay, now what you want, it doesn't matter what color you use, I mean it's all copper wire. Now what I've got set up here is the tape measure. You want to do 20 inches for wire. You get this. Now here's the fun part. Is stripping all this coating off. Because you'll want the bare wire for the antenna. So it's got to be stripped off, and it can be a pain in the butt to get started. But this is free, so I mean, you can't beat free if you've got some old wire you can get a hold of. Now you can use, I think, pretty much any kind of wire. This is, I believe it was 12 gauge. And it's just a matter of continually strip it off. I'll get all this stripped and I'll come back and show you what to do next. Okay, after you get it stripped out, it'll look like that. Just a bare piece of copper. It's 20 inches long. Now what you want to do is find your center, which is half of 20 is 10, so go 10 inches. I just mark it with a pencil, put a little pencil mark on it. So you've got your dead center. I know you're not going to be able to see this because I can barely see it. Get your screw that you're going to use for later on and put that dead center right on that screw, and then just bend it around like that. And you should have it, after you bend it, it should be real close to equal. I mean, the more you do, the closer you can probably get. But there's that, and that's what you want to make. You're wanting to make, you've got to have 8 of these. So you're going to need a bunch of this wire. Either this or go to the store and get your roll of wire. So I've already had all this, so that's why it's really not costing me anything, because I'm just recycling what's already in here. And this garage is a 2-car garage, and it's got a lot of wire still in it that I haven't even touched. And I've already built 2 of these antennas, so that's what you'll need. And you will need 8 of these. Just keep that in mind, 8 of these. Okay, I'm going to get the antenna up here and show you what it looks like. And I'll go through step by step on how to make that. Okay, this is what it looks like when it's totally done. On these, you'll want a 5.5 spread on them. When they spread out, you want about a 5.5 inch between these forks here, where it forks out. That's how I've got this one. And then I've got a 3.5 inch between the tips on each of these, which they're not all that way because I dropped it while ago and I kind of had to readjust some of it. But 3.5 here, 5.5 between here. Now my screw set, I've got 9.5 between each one. So you got 9.5 between each of these where you screw them in. The transformer is sitting at right at 5 inches between these center ones. This is your transformer. This is where it converts the wire over to cable. You have to have one of these to convert it to the cable line, so you run the cable into your house and get your picture. Now, on here I just left the coating on the cable or on the wire here, because these lines can't touch or it's going to jack it up. So I just left the coating on there so shouldn't be affected by each other. But you cross these two, see they're crossed, and then straight to your transformer, straight down to your next one, and then crossed again. So you've got to cross at the top, cross at the bottom, straight in the middle. But this is where your transformer's at. Transformers I don't think are too expensive. I have several of them around here. So, I mean, none of this cost me anything because this is stuff that I already had. PVC pipe, you're looking at least probably 31 inches. Have 2 of those, you know, one for each side. I've got, you don't necessarily have to have this other end on here. So I've got way down here on the end. I just put that on there to kind of have something I can grab a hold of, and to mount it up. Kind of gives you something to mount it to. But you'll need a real short piece of PVC to go in between here. I don't have it glued right now, so it's kind of popping apart on me. But just a real short piece of PVC, and stick in there, stick the joints together. And that's pretty much it. It takes, the longest time that it takes is stripping off all this wire. So if you can get bare wire to start with, you can save yourself a ton of time. And then putting these on doesn't take no time at all. I did pre-drill these holes so I can get them straight that way instead of just trying to drum the screw through there. But I just pre-drilled a real small hole and measured everything out. Pre-drilled everything. Put the screws in there. And once I lift the screws up just a little bit, pop the wire around there and get it where it needs to be, and then tighten this all down. Once all the wires are around there, then tighten it down. And that's really pretty much it. It does just as good as my big one that I've got on the roof. I've got a 120 mile antenna on there right now. Depending on the weather, obviously your antennas will pick up different channels. This one does almost as good as that. I don't know, I think I paid about $1 a mile, because I think I paid about $120 probably for that antenna several years ago, and it's a big antenna. So and this is free, and it does just about as good a job. So if you're anywhere near a city that's got TV channels, you should be able to pick up all your locals. Right now with that big one, I'm picking up 16 channels. And I think depending on the direction that I set this one, I can pick up about 20, depending on which direction it is. So on a good day, it'll do just as good as that big one up there, and this is free. So there you go with that. I'm still debating on attaching this to my satellite dish and trying this style antenna with the satellite dish. That particular antenna that I got hooked on the satellite dish isn't all that great for doing this with it, just because of the type that it is, but I'll get you a picture of what I've got on the roof here. Okay, there is what I've got on the roof now. Like I said, it's rated at 120 miles. It does have a rotor on it. I don't use the rotor because pretty much leaving it like that, I can pick up all the channels I need because they're all south of me, so I can get all the basics there. On a good night, I can pick up way down south, almost down the Arkansas border, and that's several hours from here. I can pick up all those, and when that happens, I had one night I was picking up 50 some odd channels, which is crazy for right here. So, but that's what the roof one that I am currently using, what it looks like. Like I said, this one that I just built will do just as good, if not better, depending on where you're located and how you've got it set up, as this big one up here. I said this one was free to me, so it's cheap to build. Parts are cheap. If you've got all the stuff, it's basically free. So you might consider that if you're looking about getting rid of cable or the satellite and going free antenna, because there are a lot of digital channels out there. It's all free. Okay, here's kind of an overview real quick of the entire length of this. You can pause this or do whatever, and so you can kind of see if you need to see any details. There's your lengths. I've got everything attached. You don't necessarily have to do this exactly how I did it, but the designs on the internet they're showing. I'll say here's that extra piece on the bottom so I can attach it. But they're all showing pretty much the basic same design on there, showing the crosses and then the distance between the wires. There's that. Here's what it looks like if you decide not to put that piece on there. That length. About what your total length will be. I'll keep that in mind wherever you're going to mount it at. That's what it looks like. Here's your length across, approximately, on what it's going to look like there. Hopefully all these measurements will help somebody out if they're lost on a particular area. There's that.